We are going to begin with David Connell, the truck driver who was found guilty of careless driving, causing the death of Taiwanese tourist Ming-Cheh Hsieh. David Connell was sentenced yesterday but was found guilty of the offence in July. During sentencing, the judge quoted Connell's probation report in which he says, "It eats away at me every day. I wish I could turn back the clock, but I can't." But at the end of July, two posts on Connell's Facebook page appear somewhat less remorseful. One, which shows a skeleton giving the finger, says, "I refuse to kiss anybody's ass. You may be mad over some petty shit. Stay mad because I don't give an F." This was posted between verdict and sentencing. And posted on the same day, that's July 29th, another page that said, "Before you judge me, please understand that I don't give an F what you think." The F, by the way, was just me being polite. Connell used the full word. We tried to reach Mr Connell today to talk about his remorse. His lawyer, Kerry Cook, told us the Facebook posts were not related to the accident, but were memes. He maintains his client is remorseful. Ming-Cheh Hsieh wasn't the first cyclist Connell had fatally hit while driving a truck. In 2005, he'd hit Stephen Avery just north of Wellington. Again, he was convicted of careless driving causing death. But as Stephen Avery's sister, Leslie, learned, he didn't tell his new employer about that.
Apparently not. I was just rereading some of the old mails and that they were unaware that he was working for PBT, and they were unaware of his previous history. He was working for Straight Freight at the time when he killed Stephen, and Straight Freight, I spoke to them, they had pushed him down Christchurch to get the media, get them out of the media, and he was taken on by Linfox. He was disqualified from driving apparently, but he got a work licence and continued truck driving down south.
So he was disqualified from driving, he got a work licence, he changed employer without, it seems, telling his new employer that he had been involved in a fatal accident killing a cyclist.
Yep, apparently so.
Kept driving and killed another cyclist.
Killed another one. Yeah, and that's when he was with, I don't know how long he was with PBT. I mean, I sort of just put it to rest, let my brother rest, and sort of, tried to carry on with life, which I have, until this came up. And I've just sort of been digging a few bits here and there because I have friends that are truck drivers as well, and just getting little tidbits here and there and just storing them. That was, yeah.
People often talk about how remorseful they feel at times like this, and it's certainly used as a mitigation when sentencing is being considered. Did you or your family, your parents, Stephen's family, ever hear from David Connell with any form of expression of remorse or apology or anything?
No, not at all. My mother and I was actually on crutches. We turned up at the Porirua courthouse to actually face him to see if he'd give an apology, and he had asked for it to be transferred down south to a courthouse.
So you never heard from him? Not a letter, nothing?
Nothing, absolutely nothing.
And the circumstances of the accident which killed your brother Stephen were what, as you know them, Leslie?
My brother has always used to bike to work. He was actually not a New Zealand cyclist, but he'd just actually got a gold medal the year before in his older class over at Masterton. And he'd bike from Paraparam to Lower Hutt in the mornings, and he was lit up like a Christmas tree. He was not very colour coordinated, and he'd wear the brightest, fluoroest clothing, always wears bright yellow shoes, and Lycra was always luminous, and he had lights all on his bike, his hat, front, back, tyres, his shoes around his waist. He had a light that flipped on and off, and he was riding, those little white things that are down the side of the motorway that, you can run over them. They don't hit the car, but they'll wake you up. He was against the hillside of that. So
okay, so to the left of those.
To the left of them, yeah. He wasn't even in the car lanes. And when I went up there, the police officers were very good and took me through the scene where I actually picked up some of my brother's little bits of his clothing, and they showed me where his carbon tyres, where the truck had impacted onto my brother. And so the truck had pretty much come right over into that cycle lane, and the front of the grille of the truck, my brother's helmet was embedded in the middle of it. He then carried on, and a truck driver from Pam's, had Pam's, I think it was Foodies, he radioed ahead and told him that he had hit something, he'd seen something flying.
Hold on a sec, he didn't even know he'd hit your brother?
He said no, he did not know he'd hit him.
And this is the same in Christchurch, where he hit Ming-Cheh Hsieh, and he had to be told by somebody else, I think, that he'd hit the cyclist.
Yeah, I was told that there was a witness to say that the cyclist was already at the traffic lights waiting as Connell pulled up. So he should have seen that cyclist anyway.
So what needs to happen now? Because on the face of it, this is the same driver in a truck doing more or less the same thing twice at the cost of the lives of both cyclists.
Yep. I don't want any harm to him because he's somebody's son, he's somebody's father, I assume, an uncle, but I do not believe he should be ever allowed to hold a licence again and work with big machinery. It's not fair. Okay, he might say, well, this is my livelihood. Well, I'm sorry. My brother doesn't have a livelihood. My niece doesn't have a dad and I don't have a brother. He can find some other form of work, but not behind a truck.
That's Leslie Avery, Stephen Avery's sister. David Connell killed Stephen Avery in an accident, truck versus cycle, in 2005.